Hi, April.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
Oh, good. So today I'm going to have you read the story The Relatives Came.
Okay.
Have you read it before?
Mm-mm.
So you know nothing about the book.
Nothing about it.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I'll have you first open the book,
Okay.
and then what you will do is you'll look through the pictures, and then you'll see, you're not going to read the words,
Okay.
but you'll see what the story is trying to tell you based off of the pictures, okay?
Okay.
So while you do that, I also want you to tell me what you're noticing within the pictures too. If there's anything that sticks out to you or anything like that.
Okay. Well, on this first one, there's a lot of objects on the ground, stuff falling out of the boxes.
Yeah.
On the first page of the story, I see a car that looks like there is a person climbing on top of it, and then it also looks like there's things falling out of the car.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's probably driving away from the house because it's facing away from it. And then on the next page, I see a broken mailbox and I see flying suitcases. I see a car flying in the air because the wheels are not on the ground. So it's probably going really fast. Maybe.
Yeah.
It might be nighttime because that looks like it's probably the moon and not the sun. On the next page, that's kind of scary. I see some houses that look like they might fall off the cliff. It looks like multiple cars, or it could be one car moving. So it looks like they're going somewhere because the car's always on a road and it always looks like it's moving. So they're going somewhere, whoever these people are in the car. Here I see, again, flying suitcases and a car. Looks like they ran into the fence right there, so maybe they're going too fast. And I see some kids that look like they're either playing or maybe excited about something. Looks like one of them was just on the swing because it looks not still. Let's see here. So there's a lot of hugging. That kid doesn't look like he likes hugs. Again with the suitcases, a lot of suitcases on the ground.
Yeah.
This guy looks really happy to be hugging whoever this person is, so maybe they know each other. They look very happy. These two guys are shaking hands, so either they're saying hello or saying goodbye. These two ladies look like they're running towards each other, and that dog looks like they're chasing. So I think that there's like people greeting each other, like someone showed up to something maybe.
Yeah.
This looks like windows in a house maybe. Looks like there's a lot of people in this house and they all look like they are talking to each other, hugging each other, pretty happy to see each other, I would say. So it looks like somebody might be visiting somebody. Let's see. So again, this looks like a window in the house. So maybe now they're inside the house. Looks like there's some kids eating. Some other people that look like they're getting food. This kid forgot to put his pants on. Looks like there's some food falling. So it looks like there's a lot happening.
For
A
sure.
lot of things going in different directions. Little kid sitting on. Looks like that could be like a grandpa maybe and like maybe his grandson or like a great nephew or something like that possibly. Yeah. That dog is getting a treat. Here it looks like a bunch of people are sleeping. None of them are sleeping on beds, so maybe they're having like a sleepover or something, because that seems like something that happens at sleepovers. Someone's still awake. Looks like some kids are sleeping in some weird positions. Yeah. Dog looks comfortable. This looks like maybe the window's open because the curtains are like not straight. Usually curtains are straight.
Yeah.
So here it looks like everybody's outside because there's some trees. He looks like he's getting a haircut. Maybe that could be dad, maybe, or grandpa, maybe an uncle. This girl is playing with whoever this guy is, so maybe they're friends or related. And there's like a lot of other kids that are playing with toys and stuff like that. These people look like they're working, so maybe yard work possibly. Well, that's a guitar, so he's playing an instrument. Looks like they're all playing instruments. They're building something, maybe? I remember that in the back there's a fence that someone hit, so maybe that looks like the fence, so maybe they're fixing the fence. That kid is eating a watermelon. Looks like he dropped some of it. She's also holding a watermelon, so we got some eating, some building, playing instruments. This just looks like a bunch of people hanging out together. Maybe they were eating because there's like some plates right there and some food on them. Car. An American flag, so maybe they're celebrating something. Well, there's that car again full of a bunch of people and suitcases. So they were clearly traveling from somewhere, because why else would they have suitcases? I don't know why there's always a suitcase flying off, but there seems to always be a suitcase flying off. It looks like they're waving, and then over here they're waving, so maybe they're saying goodbye. So maybe they're visiting somebody and now they're leaving and going back home, possibly. And then it looks like the car's driving, because this looks like a road. And it looks like the car's lights are on, so it must be nighttime. And there's that same car in a garage, it looks like, so maybe they're home now. Maybe that's their garage, and they just got home, and this kind of looks like the road they were traveling on, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's
the last page. Okay, so do you think the pictures helped you try to understand the story without knowing what the words were? Would you, what do you think the book was about?
I think it was about some group of people visiting another group of people. Because they were like hugging each other and excited to see each other.
Yeah. Okay, so the next activity that I'm going to have you do is based off of those pictures.
Okay.
I want you to create your own ending to the story.
Okay.
So I've got some paper and pencil, and I'll just give you a few minutes here. If you need to look back through the book just to see some pictures to help recollect or help remember, you sure can. So,
how long do you want it to be?
As long
as I want it
as
to be?
you want it to be. Yep. And just remember, it's an ending, so you're not going to tell the full story.
Okay.
And so the book that I had you read was The Relatives Came, or the book I had you look over. Okay, so now that you've read the book, or you looked through the pictures of the book, and you wrote your ending, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you read your ending out loud.
Okay.
And then I will read the book to you, and we'll compare endings to see if the pictures were accurate enough that they helped enhance the purpose of the book.
Okay. I wrote, the Johnsons were visiting their friends for the weekend. Then they left to go home. When they were driving home, they lost a suitcase. They got home at nighttime.
Okay. So are you ready to read the book now? Okay, so it's The Relatives Came. So it was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car, and in it they put an ice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches, and up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 a.m. when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home, They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. So they drank up all their pop and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. Then it was into the house and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper 2 or 3 times around until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s through the house. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good, since there weren't any extras, so a few squeezed in with us and the rest slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown over their closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden, and they fixed any broken things they could find. They ate up all our strawberries and melons, then promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds, and that felt too big and too quiet. We fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses in different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the next summer. And that's the end. So you were right earlier when you thought that there were people coming together to visit, and then like you said, they were visiting their friends for the weekend. Well, you wouldn't have known if it was relatives if you didn't read this, if you didn't read the words, which I didn't have you do. Then they left to go home, which they did. When they were driving home, they lost a suitcase, which the illustrations did show that as well. So they got home at nighttime, and they did. So thank you for being my student today.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Yep.